everyone.
Hey, so this week we have a few things, like a few stocks we want to talk about. I hope you guys had a great week. Sorry I wasn't here a couple of weeks ago, or for like the past couple of weeks. Had lots to do, but I miss you guys, and so we have a lot to talk about. So first Jose is going to go over Twitter, XTNT, and GLD. And then Chelsea's going to go ahead and kind of go into detail about that smaller trading account that she was talking about, that $25 trading account. So she's got details on that. She's super excited to talk about. And then I'm kind of going to take a little downturn and talk about like the risk versus reward, and bring up a couple of stories and kind of hammer in responsible trading, even though that's what Jose and the team talk about all the time. I just think why not talk about it again? It's not going to hurt. So without further ado, if I can pass this off to Jose and then get my camera. Okay.
Okay. So the first I want to go over XTNT from today, and I'm gonna try to share my screen and see if I can do a better job this time. Let's see.
I have confidence in you. You can do it.
Application window. Okay. Okay, so let me move this over here and let me expand. Okay, so we got XTNT from today, and this was moving with pretty good volume. I mean, it was pretty much dead in the morning, very low volume right here, but then it got a huge increase in volume. I wasn't in it in this move. I was just watching it, and this is a good example of what I say sometimes about if a stock is truly strong, it will give you multiple opportunities. I mean, if you entered this stock here, I mean, that's great. If you didn't, you could have entered it here. That's great. I wasn't in none of that, but I watched it. Stock pulled back, sold off, and I kind of took it off my screens that because it was just, I thought it was dead, but then I noticed it started to come back, and when I noticed it started to come back and reclaim VWAP and make pretty much its first trade line VWAP cross, it caught my attention, and I actually entered a position right in this area, and it was selling off again, and I had my stop. My stop was around the 330 area, if I'm not mistaken. But as it was selling off here, it actually went a little bit below my stop. But this goes back to using multiple time frames. This is the 3-minute chart. But if you go and look at the 15-minute chart as well, you can see where it pushed and then it sold off. But look where it held support. It held support right at that trade line. And so I was watching this trade line right here as it was selling off right here while I was in that position. And I was like, I'm going to hold. I mean, it held the trade line here. It held the trade line here. The trade line was strong. And so I held on to that position. And when I seen it held it again, right here, that's where I decided to add. And I very seldom add to my position. But when I saw that, again, we go back to the 15-minute chart, and see if I can, where it held, held the trade line again right here. That's where I decided to add. I was in it right here, pulled back on me, and normally I would have stopped out, but again, I saw the trade line had held right in this area, so I said I'm gonna, I mean, it has a strong possibility of holding again, and it did. I added to my position, and then I started selling in front of this, this first resistance level right there. Started taking profits along the way up. I should have sold all of it here. I got a little bit greedy, I have to admit. It happens to the best of us, and I didn't, so I stopped out right here. And but when I stopped out, I thought it was going to break VWAP to the downside. It broke briefly. It broke this prior high, but it did not. It held it. And when I seen it held it, again, I looked at the 15-minute chart and held that trade line again. And so I said, I got to take another stab at this. And so I took another position right in this area, took some profits, along the way, and then stopped out again. I think I stopped out right around here when it broke that trade line, and it, kind of, no, it was actually right here, because it kind of put in a double top right there. You got a top, and a top. That's what we call a double top, and that's a bearish pattern. So when you see that, usually you want to go ahead and exit that position. I was giving it a little bit of time because of the momentum it had, but normally when I see something like this, it's best to exit the position as soon as you see that, because it's usually going to continue on the sell-off. But again, this is a perfect example of when a stock is truly strong, it will give you more than one opportunity, and you can use that 15-minute trade line as an indicator as well. So hopefully this makes a little bit of sense on that. What I saw to enter that trade. I'm gonna look at the GLD. Well, let's look at Twitter first. So Twitter, we have some calls on Twitter, and we made some profits on it already. Twitter posted earnings right here. This is the daily chart. Twitter posted earnings, and it's had this big move. We took some profits. Again, got a little bit greedy. Should have sold my last contracts right here, but I didn't. And I still think it goes. I mean, we have a consolidation day here. That you see that doji right there. I mean, it's trying to find its direction. Trade lines push it up, so I feel like it will continue higher. The only thing is, with the markets pulling back and all, it could mess up the whole play on it. But I do believe it will go higher. Again, today, I mean, we was doing so well, but then at the end of the day, we got this sell-off on the SPY, and of course it pulled back everything. It pulled back Twitter and Apple and everything else with it. But I still believe that Twitter will go. I mean, Twitter has done a tremendous turnaround. So I believe it will go, and we will make some nice, decent profits on those calls. Let's see, GLD. So GLD, and let me see. Let me do something here. We're going to go to look at the weekly chart on GLD to get a clearer picture on this. And you see this, I mean, we got a big extension here, massive extension right here. But then we have this big, the pullback here, and the pullback comes down, and it kind of, bottoms out, and it kind of forms a cup. You see, it kind of forms, it's if you drew a line right here all the way down, it kind of forms a little bowl, a little cup, kind of. Well, this is the cup and handle. It's got a big cup and handle on the weekly chart, daily chart, even the monthly chart. And we got our handle right here. Now, this, I'm going to try to take some, calls like way, with the expiration way out there, because, right now everybody, has been flocking to Bitcoin. And a lot of people say, well, Bitcoin is the new safe haven for the markets, for when the markets sell off and all. And with the market selling off, you would think, gold would be going up, but gold is pretty much stagnant. So GLD is just sitting here, not selling off, but not doing anything. I do believe that if we get a big, a 20% correction or something like that on the SPY, on the overall markets, I believe that GLD will start seeing some volume coming into it, and people coming back to it, and because at the end of the day, Bitcoin is great, and I am bullish, on Bitcoin as well, but Bitcoin is also an uncertainty, and when people have fear in the markets, they like something that is certain. They like certainty. They don't want to go into something that's iffy, or that's the whole reason of them moving away from stocks into gold. Now this is not gold per se, but it's people flock to it to hedge. So I believe that we will see a move on GLD, but again, we have to. If I enter it, I'm going to take a far out expiration to give us plenty of time on that. We don't know. I don't know when I'll enter it yet. I'm gonna wait and see. Ideally, I'm gonna wait till the MACD starts to curl, and then we'll enter it. But yeah.
Hey Jose, quick question: is the price of that stock actually tied to the price of gold?
Well, it not entirely. Like I said, I mean, it does move with the price of gold, and that goes to what I was saying. Once people start getting fear and wanting to hedge their positions, people will buy the actual physical gold. Mm-hmm. And when you see a massive buy of gold, investors will also go and buy like GLD. There's another, I can't remember the tickers right off the top of my head right now, but there's a couple of other ETFs out there that people will flock to, and they buy these as a hedge, in case the markets continue further down. Usually you see it, right now with all the, the volatility that's been going on in the SPY and, overall markets, usually by this time you already see, GLD and the ETFs like that spiking up. But right now it's been pretty much, I mean, it's going down, but I believe it will make a turnaround. I mean, I may be wrong, but I do believe that it'll people will come back to it. But no, it doesn't necessarily move in correlation with gold, but it does have something to do with it. I mean, if gold goes up, GLD would more likely go up. Yes.
Gotcha. Thanks for answering.
So yeah, do you? There was something you wanted to touch on, right, Chelsea?
With the stock?
I'm through. No, I'm through with this right here.
Okay.
Let me. Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk about was just that I had put a post up in the Facebook group asking if anybody in the group would be interested in kind of following along with a like a small beginner account, and I thought that maybe putting $25 a week into an account would be something that people might, find interesting. It's not a ton of money, and, a lot of people will be able to follow along with that. So I got a pretty unanimous, yes, we would like to see that. So I wanted to just kind of update the group that I opened that account. I have it ready to go. It's got... it looks like the deposit posted. I set it up for yesterday. So I set it up as a margin account, which I always recommend that people set up cash accounts, but with it being only $25 to begin with, I can't realistically expect to be trading only with settled funds on that. So probably not going to be a lot of day trades on there anyways. It's going to be a lot more of swing trades, small trades, buying 1 or 2 shares of this here or there. So I just wanted to update the team that I have that ready to go. And as long as the deposit fully posts by Monday, I'll be able to start trading in that. And I will just share screenshots directly from that account in the trading chat and also in the Facebook group, just so everybody can kind of see. And I will update as well on what I'm buying and what I'm selling in there. It's, just to kind of show that you can trade and you don't need to start with, you know, 10 or 15 or $25,000. You can still trade with smaller amounts and learn and figure out how everything works and still hopefully make a little bit of money also.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea, you know, so I hope some people follow it and you know, and learn from it.
Yeah.
So,
I hope
I think
so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we're going to take that great idea and then we're going to kind of turn it on to some news. It's a couple weeks old. Like I was saying earlier, we really wanted to talk about this a couple weeks ago, but then with the storm and just with everything happening, we never got around to it. So, you know, a couple weeks ago during that whole GME, you know, Wall Street bets, that whole thing that was going down, there was a teacher who had put their life savings, $70,000 into the market, lost it all, boom, gone, right? And then this was actually, you know, quite a few months ago, there was this college kid who had been trading options on Robinhood, and I woke up to like this like negative $750,000 portfolio, and actually ended up committing suicide, unfortunately. And his family actually has a lawsuit out against Robinhood right now because as a wrongful death suit because Robinhood had glitched and he wasn't actually down that much money. But that's besides the point. My point is, you know, when you don't manage your risk versus your reward, when you don't trade responsibly, bad things will happen. Not suicide or losing your life savings, but you will have some losing trades. Obviously, hopefully, they will never be as severe as that. But you have to keep in mind that when you're trading, you're risking. Well, you're only risking as much as you're willing to risk if you are doing this analysis first. You're not going all in and praying and hoping that it's going to all work out because it had worked out last week. You have a risk versus reward. I have $100. I'm willing to risk $20 out of this. I'm going to get in at this, you know, support level so that if it goes down, hopefully I'm not going to lose more than $20. If I do, I'm out. But the reward is I'm putting $20 in at the support, and the reward is hopefully being able to secure some on the way up to resistance or, you know, at resistance. These are the types of things that you need to really, really think about before you get in to a trade. And I know, like, oh yeah, I know that, blah, 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 blah. Emotions get in and they ruin all your rules or just whatever happens. So you need to trade responsibly. And that's really just the biggest thing that I wanted to tell our team is trade responsibly. That's all. Manage your risk versus reward. I don't know if Chelsea or Jose had something that they wanted to add to that.
Yeah, I think that college student, I don't think he was doing options. I think he was shorting, like what we talked about like a couple weeks ago, how
Shorting.
I went over that a couple weeks ago in, you know, in our live, and I kind of explained how, you know, when you buy a share of a stock and it's $3, your potential loss on that is $3. But if you're shorting a stock, your potential loss could be exponential because you have to cover the difference between whatever it's selling for and what you bought it for. And so that's where that comes in. I didn't know that it had turned out to be a glitch. I did hear something where it was like, oh, that wasn't exactly the right amount. But, you know, I know his parents are trying to hold Robinhood responsible. And I don't know. I mean, everybody who's trading kind of needs to understand that they are responsible for their own losses, just like you wouldn't, you know, Jose's not responsible for a trade that I took where I lost money any more than Jose is responsible for a trade that I took where I made money. Like, I wouldn't expect to be like, well, I followed the advice that you gave for, you know, Wall Street bets or whatever, and I lost money, and now you need to send me money, any more than I'd be like, hey, I followed a trade that you said and I made money, so here, let me send you some. Like, we don't, it goes both ways. So I don't know that we would expect them to be responsible for it. But yeah, it's, you know, we have to manage risk. Like, nobody should be trading with money that they can't afford to lose.
And
Like,
you for every single trade you make.
Yes. If I made 100 bad trades next week and my account was completely empty, you know, there's still food on my table, there's still a roof over my head, and so, you know, I go into the trades knowing that, so I'm able to keep the emotions out of it too. And I know that's a big thing. Like if you're trading with your retirement, like that's scary. You're not going to be able to make objective decisions that way.
Mm-hmm. Such a good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Mike's.
Yeah.
This lighting thing is.
I can tell you're struggling with where the sunlight is. It's hitting me in the eyes.
So next time I'm gonna have to make sure that I get all this lighting, because you know, team, I was like, I'm super excited. I got perfect lighting. It doesn't work out. So sorry about that, guys, this week.
Jose, what do you have to add to that kind of idea of, you know, holding Robinhood responsible for somebody's losing trades and such?
Well, I honestly, I have not done much. You know, I hadn't looked into the stories much, other than I do know that I think Robinhood had the wrong balances on his account, and so if that's the case, then I do believe that Robinhood should be held responsible in some way, not because he made a bad trade, but or if anybody makes a bad trade, you know, and your brokerage shows you wrong information, then I do believe that your brokerage should be held responsible, no matter what brokerage it is, if something like that were to ever happen. But because, you know, it's my understanding he didn't take his life because of the bad trade that he made, or because he thought he made a bad trade in itself. It was because of the amount that he saw that he was down, and which turned out not to be the case. But he tried to contact Robinhood, but of course you can't contact Robinhood. You can't get somebody on the phone like another regular brokerage, you know. And so I do believe that they should be, and I believe they will be. They'll probably eventually settle, but yeah, at the end of the day, everybody's responsible for their own trades. I mean, and again, like Chelsea said, I mean, you don't want to go in with your life savings, and if for whatever reason you did, you certainly don't want to go all in on one stock with your life savings, because if that one stock that you go into, let's just say it was AMC and you bought it at $400 and you went all in, which, believe me, there's people that did that. GME. I'm sorry, GME. Well, if you bought it right at, say, $400 and you thought it was going to go to 1,000 or whatever the heck that price target they had, and you sat there holding it, even if it went to 450 or whatever, and you didn't take any profits, and now, I mean, it's I believe it went down to in the 90s today. I don't even know where it closed because I didn't even look at it much today. Yeah, I mean, it went up to 100 and something yesterday, but I think it went back to the 90s today, and you're stuck up there holding it for a huge loss, and it's going to take a Hail Mary to bring it back. I mean, could it happen? Yes. When it does happen, you're going to be very emotional. If it does happen, you're going to be very emotional that more than likely you're either going to sell even and the stock may tick a little higher, or you're going to hold it because you're going to be like, oh, it's going to do it this time. It's going to go. And then it pulls back again. And I mean, so you can't trade with, with accounts like that. I mean, you got to use money that you're willing to lose, that you know you can live without. I mean, because anytime you enter a trade, I mean, the possibility of you losing is there. I mean, you cannot enter it saying, well, I'm only going to enter the trades that I'm going to win on. There's no way to know. I mean, we look for bullish setups and patterns and all, but even with that, I mean, with the market selling off the way they are right now, I mean, such volatility, and sometimes those setups just don't work. I mean, small caps have not been giving us much follow through lately. I mean, we had an XTNT today that done pretty well, but usually you got one stock out of thousands out there that is doing, you know, something. And if you don't catch that one stock, well, the rest of them are not going to give you any follow through. So the best thing you can do is manage your positions and manage your trading and trade responsibly. You know, watch your position sizes, especially on volatile stocks.
There's one other thing that we can kind of take away from this also, and this, it goes more to the teacher that lost their life savings following the advice of the Wall Street Bets subreddit, is, you know, who you're taking advice from, who you're listening to for their trades. Like, if if you're in a group that's just, you know, it's 10,000 people trying to pump up some stock that they're bag holding on, that's not going to get anybody anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, it's crazy how the markets have changed so much. I mean, of course I'm not that old to say that I know how the market's been all this time, but I mean,
I'm that old.
but you know, nowadays with social media and all that, people, you know, people actually, I mean, I was listening to Benzinga today, and I can't remember the guy's name right now, but he's on Twitter, and he mentions the stock, and you can pull up the chart, and you can see that spike in the stock where, you know, people actually, if they're following somebody like that, say Wall Street Bets or this, you know, some other guy on Twitter or whatever, and he mentions the stock, and he has, you know, thousands of followers on Twitter or any other social media platform, and you know, people just buy it because he said so, you know. I mean, and it shouldn't be like that, you know. I mean, because I've seen this happen before. I mean, I've seen it where you know, somebody like that would, if especially if they know that this is going to happen, they position themselves ahead of time and then talk about the stock. The stock spikes because every you know, all of them are following, and the stock spikes, and he sells into it. And hey, and say that was me. I you know, I call out the stock. Everybody jumps into it. I sell into it, make my profits, and guess what? Everybody else is stuck holding it. You know, and it's so slowly, you know, dwindles back. It shouldn't be like that. I mean, you know, if it's small caps, penny stocks or whatever, you know, you have to do technical analysis and stick to your plan. If it's large caps, like blue chip stocks, for long term, then it's a little bit different. And I would say, you know, you look for good pullbacks to long the stocks. If you just want to go ahead and get long a certain stock, then start small. Start small, because if it pulls back, you know, you add to it. And I know a lot of people be like, well, that's averaging down, and it is, you know. But I'm not afraid to do that on a large cap, you know, on a stock like say Tesla or Microsoft. You know, I'm not afraid to do that on a stock like that, but I'm not going to do that on a stock like XTNT or AMC or, you know, stuff like that. I mean, if I enter the stock and then it turns into a loss, I just take my loss and move on. And if it comes back and makes a new high of the day, it makes a new high of the day without me. I mean, you know, it happens.
That happened to me today. I cut XTNT for a loss, and then it went up.
Oh, no.
I mean, it is what it is. You're not going to win them all.
Yeah. But you followed your plan. You stuck your stop loss, and, you know, I mean, it's going to happen. So, but yeah, that's all I got to say on that.
Cool. I think it's perfect timing. It's 5 o'clock, so we can let the team get, you know, and start their Friday evening and their weekend festivities.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna make some crawfish this weekend again, hopefully, and drink a lot of beer. and whatever else comes my way.
Already
Well,
started
the
on
only,
my White Claws.
the only thing, other things that I wanted to just cover really quickly are a couple of quick things on the group. The contest for, or giveaway, or however we are wording it, for the new people in the group. That's going to be ending on the day after tomorrow, the 28th, and we will announce the winner of both of those next week on Friday Night Live. So we'll have the person who added the most people to the group, and then we'll have the random drawing for all the new people that have joined the group since we started that, which was maybe about a week or so before the beginning of February. I can't remember the exact date, but we've got a list of everybody. So you've still got a couple more days if you want to add anybody. They do need to still answer those couple of questions in order to join the group. So if anybody's still pending and hasn't answered those questions, that's why. And then as always, we are available to help or answer questions or whatever. So you can send us messages on Facebook, or you can send us messages on Telegram, however is easier for you to reach out to us, but we're always here to help.
Yes, always.
All right.
Team.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great weekend.